Hey, good to have you here. We are talking about divs and spans, and I'm excited that we're getting into this because these are super important. You'll use these all the time, and they're simple ideas. Let's get into it, shall we? Right off the bat, we're asked to create a blank sandbox and name it fish. And I've already created mine. Make sure that you're logged in, of course. Boom. Whoa, I always forget to do this. Actually, I want to fork. I forgot to fork. There we go. Calling it fish. Love it. Boom. Just to organize things, I'm going to go to my dashboard, and there's fish. I'm going to drag that into my web apps one, and now it's in there, and I can double click there. Fantastic. Back in fish. All right, so we are asked to input this code here in the index in HTML, and just put it in. So type with me and we'll identify different pieces along the way. Fantastic. So first we got our document declaration, HTML, love it, boom. And then we have our HTML line with language declaration. Here we go, apps, boom. And that of course has a closer, and we have our head, and whoops, and of course our body, right? And that's where all of our all the code that's going to be presented on the screen is going to go to be styled in, of course, our CSS. Now, inside the head, let's get a couple things in. We want, speaking of CSS, let's get in our link to our CSS style sheets. That's going to be located in CSS /styles.css. It's a style sheet, style, S-H-E-T, and the type is, where are we at here, text/CSS. And next, we're going into our, get rid of this stuff so I got a full line. I don't want this either. Boom, get rid of that. Excellent. All right, so we got our link right there. Boom, to our style sheet. And actually, let me open that back up. I nixed that. Let's create that right now. So, of course, we want our CSS folder. And inside of our CSS folder, let's put our styles, styles.css. And that opens right there. Fantastic. Save. We got it so far. We want to put in a little title here because it's always nice to have a title in your tab. Everything about fish. Fish is what we'll call this, and we want our closer for our title. And that's all we need in our head here. Now let's get into the body. So inside the body, we'll start off with our title, our H1, which has everything about fish. Boom, love it. And they have all these extra spaces here, which are unnecessary. So I need to know about fish. First, the important stuff. Well, what did I do here? We'll give it a smiley face. All right. No. Yes. All right. We got a P. We got our H2. I kind of see. You can order things in terms of spacing, do it in a way that kind of makes sense to you and makes your code a little bit more readable. So I think this H2 kind of goes with that. what are we doing here? ch2 the class. I'm going to give it an important class. Types of fish. H2. Alright, actually, I take it back. I want a space there, maybe, and then like types of fish. I can do it here. This makes sense. Our unordered list, which also has the class of importance. We'll put in our goldfish here. We'll put in our catfish. I guess our 2 types. Boom. Whoops. List item. And what else do I got here? Oh yeah, I can just do this, and we can just say, and lots more. Exclamation point. All right, fantastic. And then of course we need to close our unorganized list. Just a few more things we'll put in here. Our H2, which has a class of oh, this is unimportant. Unimportant, and I think I'll need that soon, so I'm just going to grab that word and save it. Copy it. Fish like to play golf. Very important thing to know about fish, actually. Also, they are little known fact. Fish like to play golf. Yep. That's all we have to say about that, apparently. And then, of course, we have an H2. Also unimportant. Oops, got a little space there. And in case you were wondering, fish are not mammals. So I guess a dolphin is not a fish. And then we close the body here, and which I already had, and our HTML. Fantastic. So check it out. We can even go like this, got our kind of, so we have a couple unimportance going on here, couple importance, and then like a header situation. So that kind of makes sense to me. Feel free to organize as you want with a single space. That's kind of making sense. So, all right, in terms of, when you save it, it gives like some, it does some auto formatting there. So, all right, so looking at this, definitely there's got to be a way to group things so you don't have to keep repeating classes if you have groups that are all using the same class. Part of like being a good coder and smart coder is consolidating and thinking about how to save yourself time, space, and code, ultimately lines of code. And so right here, one way of doing this is using divs. So a div, like a divider, could almost be thought of, I almost wrote divider, can be thought of as a grouping method. So we can put all these things in a div. They have closers, and well, I'm going to take all this stuff. So all of that stuff is in a single folder or div, as it were. See these lines right here? These guys are all inside this one div, and we're going to call this div class important. And so instead of repeating this code over and over and over again, geez, oh Pete's, we are going to just put it once here, and now this whole class gets that. Divs are a great way of doing that, and it's a great way of like making things appear and disappear and like affecting all these. You can put them all in a box by putting them all in a div and then giving that div some certain properties we'll get into later. So divs are really good ways of like grouping material in code. So it's like a divider. We'll also put a div around are unimportant. So actually, I'm just going to grab this code. Copy that. Put that there. Just turn that into unimportant. And then I'm going to select all that. And if I press Command D, it selects the same code that it appears in the next set of code. So see that class unimportant under just got selected, boom, and I just did it again. Those are all selected, and if I press delete, now they're all deleted. Excellent. Command D, very helpful. If I did like the word lots, Command D selects lots. If I press Command D again, boom, it selects the next lots. Yeah, cool. If I deleted it, it would delete both of them. Let's undo that. All right, fantastic. Unimportant. Now, my formatting's a little bit off. Let's get this stuff in order here, and of course, give this a closer. So now that unimportant div is closed. Awesome. So just to like prove what we're doing here, let's take a moment, look at what we've done. Okay, in another browser here, I like it and popped out in another browser. Boom, we have these, and we have, of course, our different H's. We can open up the console, remember this, and select different things on here, and it even tells me, oh yeah, this is an H1. Absolutely, that is an H1, and so on. Cool. All right, now, in terms of the divs, let's use those for some styling, put them to use, you know what I mean? So, get rid of this. Let's get into our styles. All right, so the unimportant, remember, in order to target a class, we use a decimal at the top of the word. And that I did not put it in decimal. Did I put a decimal? There we go. Decimal at the top of the word. And we'll say these are the important. We call them important, right? IMPORTANT. And we could just test it out by saying color red. Let's just see if we're connected. So if I say color red, save it, boom, let's go in here, refresh, and refresh, nothing happens. Pause. And I just noticed the typo. Sorry, I had to pause that. I didn't want you to see me diagnose it. Boom, right up here at the top of our code, I had a slight typo, and this is actually supposed to be in quotation marks, as is this. Yeah, I missed the quotation marks at the end of that, and so our style sheet wasn't connected. That's why it's always good to test your style sheet, and that it wasn't turning red when I did that is exactly what I was looking for in a certain sense, to check if it was connected or not. Okay, so here we are, this connected now. Let's check our styles. Important, color red, saved. Now let's see if I go back here and refresh. All right, style sheet is connected, and most importantly, we're seeing the very important the key of our lesson here is that this div, this divider, when we give that a class, which is ultimately what they're used for, is to give them classes and to do stuff to all of its contents, all of its children, is that it affects exactly that. All of its children inherit certain properties, from including the stuff from the CSS, which is great. So we can like now target and do different things to different items in here. And notice it doesn't overwrite everything, just the properties it's targeting. So all we looked at here was the color, so it just changes the color, but this still has a different font type than this, and of course these continue to be in that unordered list. So yeah, so that's how divs work. They're great. Let's give another one to, let's affect our unimportant dot unimportant, T-A-N-T, and and we'll do that color. Did we have something in the lesson that they wanted us to do? Unimportant in blue, they said. Okay. Easy. Blue. and we'll save it. Go over here, refresh, and there it is. Our stuff down here in blue. It's all unimportant. Okay, so this is the way of targeting certain groups of items in order to group code. Divs are very important. You'll use them all the time. All right, so the second thing we want to talk about really quickly is targeting inline elements. And so we'll just quickly add this last part here. And so we're going to be typing this in, right after the fish are not animals, right after the fish are not animals divs. So this is not within the unimportant div. This is different. So let's see here. It looks like this. This is all a paragraph. There are many types of, and then this is what we're looking at, spans. A span is a way of targeting an inline element, an element inline. So instead of doing strong or EM, we can just use a span to target some stuff inline and then really get into styling within our CSS way more than merely strong or EM. HIGHLIGHT. Fish. Span. So we've just, let's take a look at this. We've just put a span around this word fish, and now what we can do is target that word fish in our CSS. So just to show you really quickly here, boom, we'll just stop it, and I know that there's more that we'll type in, but boom, let's just do it. Highlight, let's create a style highlight here. HI, that'll be at the top. And we'll make the font size way bigger. Let's make it 40 pixels. I think that'll be considerably bigger than the other one. All right, so first I'll hide that. I'll comment it out with a command / save it. And we'll look at this here. Now, this is just with the span there, and this thing's, but we have the bigger pixels highlighted out. Now, applying the span, if I unhighlight this, or uncomment that out, save it, boom, go back, refresh, and now, yup, fish is now highlighted. So that's what spans are about. Spans are really about getting into that line, let's see here, sorry about all this. They're really about targeting something inline and then being able to really get into how you want to style it, much more so than like EM or strong. And I'll let you finish off this line here because there's just a couple more spans that they put into this paragraph. But those are the two main things we're looking at. Divs, which are huge, that's about grouping a bunch of code and affecting a group of code, and then a span used for really digging into something inline. Okay, happy coding.